We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Right. Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Good morning, party people. What is up? It is the last day of week 5. And what a week 5 it has been. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Morning Show. My name is Austin Thompson. And I've got nothing clever to say. So, usually I try and think of something funny to say, but today I got nothing. I'm mentally and physically exhausted from the week that was week 5. Like I said, we still have one game left tonight. Ravens, Colts. That should be a barn burner. Also, if you hear me doing this sniffle thing or I sound nasally, I apologize because I live in the South. And during this time of year, you get multiple seasons in one day. So it was probably 60 degrees when I left my house this morning. When I get done recording this podcast and I go outside to do my morning walk / laps through the parking lot, it'll probably be close to 80 degrees. A byproduct of the South, this time of year, the weather changes. So I have allergy issues anyway, and this time of year, this season's it doesn't help me at all. So I apologize for any nasally sounds or stiffing that I might do. But if nothing else, it'll be a pleasant pause from me saying repeatedly, just like I just did. So Monday mornings, we're going to do the Monday morning recap where we go through and discuss the week that was and the players that were. For instance, Justin Herbert was the number 1 fantasy football quarterback this week with 42.8 points. And that is insane. A 47-42 victory over the Cleveland Browns, but he played really good. Justin Herbert's everything I think a lot of us didn't want him to be, because he was this kind of vanilla plain kind of quarterback. I think he's actually what we all wanted Jared Goff to be honest. But I kind of secretly root for Justin Herbert because I don't think that anybody thought he'd be what he is. And, I do, let me preface this by saying I do hate the fact that he got his start because Tyrod Taylor got a needle jabbed in his lung. But I mean, it's worked out well for the team, and, he has made the best of the opportunity. So I respect the hell out of that. Justin Herbert's your number 1 quarterback. Tom Brady is 2. Josh Allen is 3. Jameis Winston's 4. And I'm so tired of having to say nice things about Jameis Winston for fantasy football, because I just don't. I didn't think he would be this, and I still am not sure what he is or if he's any good or if Sean Payton has or has not fixed him. But for fantasy football purposes, dude's doing so good, and it hurts my soul. But the irony is, following up from Jameis Winston is Davis effing Mills, who no one even knew existed until the Deshaun Watson debacle happened. Jalen Hurts is next. Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan. I have got to set a yearly reminder for myself to fade rookie quarterbacks playing in England for the first time, because it's the England game, the London game. I love them because I get a longer football day, but you just never know what the hell's going to happen. But it does make sense that the logical thing would have to do would have been to fade the rookie quarterback who is playing in London, or the young quarterback who's playing in London. Basically, whoever's been in London more, fade them and play the guy who's not a young guy playing for the first time in London. So, yeah, Zach Wilson. That's I'm a fan of the talent. I do not like the team. I like the coach. I really think that Salah is going to do good things eventually, but for right now, it is looking rough as shit. And I've got him. I think in one league, I'll go over my teams and my wins and losses, or tentatively speaking, we still have the Monday game, but I think I've got one league where he got me 0.48 points. I think it's a Scott Fishbowl. I think it's Scott Fishbowl. Zach Wilson going to be 0.48 points, and I'm winning in that match, but I need 5 or 6 points, and I've got Mark Andrews, I think, is who I'm depending on tonight. And with the way that Monday night games have gone and the way that fantasy football has treated me in general, I don't know that I'm going to get the 5 points that I need. So there's that. On to the running backs. The running backs of week 5. Surprise, surprise. Derrick Henry was the number 1 running back. Austin Eckler is the number 2 running back with a huge assist from the entire defensive line of the Cleveland Browns. If you have not seen that, I think Matthew Berry tweeted it, and that's how I saw it. He said it may have been the most amazing fantasy football play of all time. It's just an interesting football play to watch. Essentially what happens is Austin Eckler was coming in. The defense basically pushed him, ran around, circled him, held him up, and made sure he got across the goal line to score a touchdown so they could have more time to run their next play. Alvin Kamara is 3, Ezekiel Elliott's 4, Nick Chubb is 5, Myles Gaskins is 6. Myles Gaskin is 6. I don't know why, but for some reason I always put an S on the end of his last name. Kareem Hunt is 7. James Robinson is 8. Najee Harris is 9. Alexander Madison is 10. Oddly enough, there's not a lot of surprises in there for this week, and I like that. The guys did what they're supposed to do. Even Antonio Gibson, who I think was questionable last week at some point in time, he comes in at 11. So all the guys who were supposed to be the guys were the guys as far as running backs go. Once again, it's hard to imagine the fact that you could have a Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb stack, and it would be a viable and dominant thing. 2 running backs from the same team. I like it. I thought it would be a thing. I didn't think it would be this big of a thing. So, if you can possibly find somebody who's got Kareem Hunt and try and trade for him, you essentially have the other top 10 running back on the Browns. And that could be a good thing for your team, especially if you're like me and you pick Mike Davis. We're just not going to talk about Mike Davis because that's been a letdown for sure. On to the wide receivers. Number 1 wide receiver is Mike Williams. 2 is Devontae Adams. 3, Antonio Brown. Let's talk about for a second how the DFS stack to have this week would have been Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette. Which, when you say it, sounds like it's a no-brainer. Duh, you should have gone with that. But yeah, with the way the up and down activity of Fournette, the Rojo's in, Rojo's out activities of the Buccaneers, it didn't seem like, I mean, Antonio Brown, I figured, especially with Gronk being out, would be the thing, would be the player. And as I actually played him wherever I could this week. But Leonard Fournette has kind of been a mystery, but it's clear right now that Leonard Fournette is the number one back in that backfield. I don't know what's going to happen when Gio Bernard comes back and gets healthy. But yeah, if you get a chance, that's a very good stack to use for DFS, just in the event you're looking forward. I don't think they have a bye next week. I know the Saints have a bye next week. Antonio Brown 3, Mike Evans 4, Jamar Chase is number 5, and that Jamar Chase is a bad, bad man. Yes, he is. DK Metcalf is 6. Marquez Callaway, Marquez Callaway, who I faded everywhere because of the lack of production. Yeah, he did great. Kadarius Toney actually had a guy message me yesterday morning and asked me, I can't remember what he asked. He asked, was Kadarius Toney was the third option? Let's see. So he asked me about OBJ. Then, okay, one more. He says, I have Moss and Jacob as my running backs right now, but I need one flex. Mixon, Mooney, or Toney. I can't decide. My response is Mixon has the best upside. Mooney is the next best option. Toney is a long shot on this list. So then after the game started happening and the New York Giants became decimated by injuries to every player on their own team, I sent him a message on Twitter and it said, you must have told Toney what I said about him. That's how it felt. I felt like Kadarius Toney knew that some rando on the internet was talking shit about him and decided he was just going to go nuts, because that is in fact what actually happened. We have a comment. Oh, what up? Had a comment from the Second Take Extra. One of my teams is 1-4. I got Hurts, Zeke, Aaron Jones, Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Javonte Williams, Madison, wide receivers Lamb, AB, Chase, Corey Davis, tight end Darren Waller. Do I panic? No, but I get why you think that. Lamb played really good yesterday. He managed to not get hurt. Josh Jacobs does scare me, and so does Javonte. It's, you have a good team. This is what I don't like about fantasy football. It's the hardest part. I mean, it's I always say embrace the chaos, and chaos happens. I feel like this is a team that can get healthy towards the end of the season. Running backs, I always say this, running backs early. That's why I draft as many running backs as possible, because of the fact that there's so much injury and variance and people are trying to figure things out. I mean, think about it like this. At one point in time this season, we were talking about, was Tony Pollard going to take over the Zeke role? Because they were playing the two of them. In that week, it seemed like it was a viable thing, like it was a big deal. And then the next week, it's just the Zeke show. And then yesterday, Tony Pollard comes in and he plays really, really good. Zeke gets hurt, falling on the marker, and then he comes back and he does great. And Tony Pollard still does good in the game. So I think the thing you've got to realize with teams, no matter what it is the fact that the coaches are trying to stop doing the same old things because the same old things aren't working anymore. And we've got to start thinking like they do, or thinking in less of a conservative way. I know it's got to feel bad, tough. But I mean, Antonio Brown is a start every week. It doesn't matter. It's, in my opinion, Godwin, AB, Evans, which sounds really weird. But I mean, Tom Brady, when he trusts you, he trusts you. When you're in a circle of trust, you are his guy. And I'd put AB in my receiver slot and leave him there every week and just do it what happens. I mean, Derrick Henry's going to have some really good games, and he's going to have some not so good games, but he's still going to be Derrick Henry the entire season. And you've just got to count on that. And I'm also the same guy who says there's no such thing as an undroppable player. There's no such thing as a player you can't bench. I'm not playing OBJ. I've got OBJ in one league. I've learned. I've been burned every year by OBJ, and I just don't believe. I believe in the physical talent. I just don't believe in the way he fits in the offense and what he's got going on. And no Landry, and now Baker's got a shoulder injury. You've got to go with your gut. It's going to sound kind of cheesy, but I believe 100% in go with your gut. If you don't have a good feeling about a player, don't play him. But if you feel good about the player and the math in your head works, if it all lines up and this guy should be doing this, you can't count on Cordero Patterson's the entire season. You can't count on KJ Osborne was good for 10 seconds. Just watch the film, watch the game, see what happens, and go with what's most likely to benefit you. Now, Darren Waller, I see what you're saying. I know where you're going with this, and he might be a guy to panic on, but what are your other options? I mean, if you don't have a better option than Darren Waller, ride with him until you can find a better option. I mean, a couple weeks ago, it was Max Williams for the Arizona Cardinals. I was telling everybody, if you can get Max Williams, get him. Now he's hurt. You don't know how that's going to work out. But, he for a second was a better option than Waller, but now he's hurt. So if you have him, then you got to play Waller. I mean, you got to play your best guys in the best positions, and always be ready to switch out players. Don't leave your Thursday guys in the flex. Put your Thursday guys in your roster. If you're going to play them, you play them in the spot, running back, wide receiver, tight end. And be able to change and be ready to change. And Sunday morning, you have to get up and you have to look at the news, or have something, be on Twitter, whatever it is you got to do. Be ready for the chaos, because it comes for every week. And I think if you don't believe in chaos, you need to go back and watch that New York Giants game yesterday, because I think the coach got hurt. I'm not having zero clue who is injured, who's able to play, and it's going to be a long week for those guys. So don't panic, because panic doesn't get you anywhere. Just adapt and overcome. That's my take. Team. Dude, I'm right there with you. I have got some teams where it's like, I got a whole roster full of killers. And then Taylor Heineke, it was doing great. I mean, he comes out, he plays, and I'm just like, Fitz is not getting this job back. And then I go out and I run a McLaurin stack with Taylor Heineke, and I get destroyed. It's the variance of the game. And it's just, you just play the best players and hope like hell you don't get hit in the face by chaos. But I do believe that the running backs throughout the season, running backs get better as it gets cooler. they get more used. So you just keep as many running backs as you can. But I totally get what do you say? I started Corey Davis over AB. I started Barkley over Zeke, and that's how I lost. And if they play next week, it could be the exact opposite. There's no way to know that Saquon's going to get an ankle injury inflicted upon him by his own teammate. I rewatched. I wasn't even paying attention when it happened, and I rewatched it, and he gets clipped by his own guy, and it's just like no one can predict that, you know. But I will say, with the injury proneness of Saquon Barkley, I'm pretty much always going to start Zeke over Saquon. I'd like to start them both, but if I got the two, Zeke over Saquon wins for me every time. Corey Davis, I just maybe it's because I live here in Tennessee, surrounded by Titans fans. Corey Davis is not going to be that great until the rest of that team, and that's the Zach Wilson issue. So tread lightly with Zach Wilson and that whole team. Yeah, I don't. Corey Davis might be a guy that I wouldn't play, just me personally, until I see it. The upside's there, and it should work, but it's going to possibly work less often than it's possibly going to work. It probably won't work as often as it will work. No, I would. Now I can't talk. You can't trust Corey Davis as much as you can trust other receivers. Like Corey Davis over AB, I'll go with with AB every time. Bye weeks, throw Corey Davis in. He's good to have on a roster. You got to have warm bodies on the roster, but Corey Davis is going to be very, very hit or miss until that team figures it out. They haven't figured it out yet. I have a lot of faith in Devonta Smith. I don't have as much faith in Ayuk because of the offense, because they are a very run-heavy offense. And this Garoppolo Trey Lance thing. Until that gets worked out, the receiving core is an issue. But, I mean, they've got Trey Sermon, who apparently they went up to draft, and Eli Mitchell's the guy, and they're going to use Juszczyk. That's a very confusing offense, which is why I don't think I have a single Niners player. And that's why that offense, it's still really unsettled. Evan Ingram, Ricky Seals-Jones, it's on waivers, and Conklin and Brait. I do not trust Brait because when Gronk went out, Brady tried to force the ball to Brait, and Brait couldn't catch a cold. So I don't think that's a great option. I do like Ricky Seals-Jones, and I do like Evan Ingram because he's one of the few healthy guys left on that team. He's coming back off of an injury, so, it's his time to shine, I guess. 2 leagues, 4-1, 2 leagues, 2-3, 1-4. Like I said, I get it, and I feel your pain, but the one good thing is it's a 17-week season now, and you're going to have bye weeks coming up. So you're going to want to try and find opportunities where you can take advantage of the buys that your opponent may have. Especially depending on how deep your rosters are. I'm not going to lie. I have been known to go out and find out. I look at my roster early in the week, see who I'm playing, and see who they have. I'll pick up, if I've got roster space, I'll pick up the backups to some of their key players. If they have a player that I think that might not do as well, let's just say they have, this is a bad example, but if they had Godwin and Evans is on a waiver wire, I would pick up Evans and possibly play him against him just to get correlated points, and also to make sure they couldn't play him against me. That doesn't happen with that. But I mean, if you've got somebody, if you have a a number 2 receiver and a number 3 guys coming up. You can do things like that. But what I'm getting at is the bye weeks are going to start making a difference this week. The impact that's going to have is going to be surprising because you're going to start having players coming off of buys and doing really, really good because of the extra rest. And also, you're going to have, if you're in your deeper leagues, you're going to have players that, like me, I'm relying heavily on the fact that I've got Derrick Henry in as many leagues as I possibly can get him this year. And when the Titans have their bye, I am so screwed on running back. I've been running a Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb stack. And when those buys hit, I haven't made a plan for it yet. So also, you might want to start planning for your bye weeks to see who it is, what you're going to do during those weeks. One of my leagues, I started Tony and Herbert, and that was a great deal. Yes, it was. Yes, it really was. If you had asked me to bet money on what I told that guy yesterday on Twitter, I would have put my money behind Tony, Kadarius Toney being the long shot of all those players. But he proved that he can do the damn thing, and that's phenomenal. That's what we all want. We need guys like that. Because now if you can get him, go out and get Kadarius Toney in every league. If you got waiver wire issues and you've got Toney out there in a league, get him. And if you're not sure what to do, I've said this before, and I will say it every week. In most leagues, what I will do for my waivers is I will go out and drop my defense and my kicker and pick up 2 extra players. And I will, unless I've got there's not a stud defense out there that I feel is worth keeping, nor is there a stud kicker worth keeping right now. Especially after Mason Crosby shit the bed yesterday so bad. If you can go out there and drop your kicker or your defense, get 2 extra players, and then sort it out during the week. So make sure you get a kicker or in a defense by Sunday. You could even go past the Thursday night game unless you're wanting the guy on Thursday. And I just usually, pick up guys who are available for Sunday. But yeah, getting extra players is key if you can, and finding. Like, your draft doesn't win you the league. Finding the players throughout the week, the Kenneth Gainwells, the Max Williams, the Kadarius Toneys, those guys. Hell, even the Pruitt, the tight end for the Titans. Pruitt's a pickup this week. If you're having issues at tight end, I've got TJ Hawkinson in some leagues, and I've got that guy ranked as high as I have anybody, and think he's going to be I thought he'd be a top 3 receiver, tight end this season, and I'm probably going to bench him and run with a guy like Pruitt or some other, guy I'm just Hail Marying on. If I don't have a viable, better thing, I'm probably going to take some shots on some iffy tight ends and see what the hell happens. Let's see. Yes, your team's got depth, and depth is one of the most underrated things in fantasy football. People don't think about that stuff, I've got one league where I've damn near rebuilt the entire team since the draft because of injuries and stuff. It's a redraft league. It's a redraft team where I get to win a belt, so I'm really, really jonesing to beat these guys that I went to high school with. But depth is key. And the more depth you can get, and sometimes depth is simply picking up the backups to guys you have. If you have no other options and everybody's shit in the bed, pick up some backups. If you've got a running back who's doing okay, the last thing you want is to not have the okay. Like, if you don't have the really, really good and you need some mediocre stuff, to help you get by until the bye weeks or whatever it is, go out and get backups for your own players, because it's better to have something than nothing, so keep that in mind too. The K41. Wait, this match was. Also, I was going against Brady Chase. Yeah, that was a buzzsaw. That was. There's nothing. And DJ Moore played bad. Yeah, that's the downside when you have the hard part about this is the times you have really, really good, really, really upside players. It seems like there's always an up and a down and an up and a down, and you got to watch out for things like that. You can't just go, "Oh, he was up last week, so he should be down." You just got to find a player to offset that down. So if you've got a GJ Moore who does bad, you want to have somebody else with some upside. You want to look at ceiling. One thing that I used to always do is just look at projected points, and I realized that screwed me because I wasn't looking at the ceiling. Projected points are good, but who has a higher upside player? If you've got two mediocre players, two guys, like if you're not playing a Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb, if you have a Josh Jacobs and a Myles Gaskin or a Josh Jacobs and a Jonathan Taylor, which one has better upside? Josh Jacobs doesn't have a Naheem Hines who's going to possibly take playing time from him or vulture some touchdowns. So think about things like that. Think about your upside in the game and just see what happens. It's all we can do. You've got to go with you've got to play your players. You got to see what happens. And sometimes it's a really shitty way to play the game, but sometimes it's all you got, so keep that in mind. Yeah. Let's see. I have Hill, Justin Jefferson, and DJ Moore are my wideouts. That's a humble brag. That's a good click to have. Yeah, that's a good click to have. And you're going to have a DJ Moore let down. You're going to have a Hill let down. You're going to have a lot of Justin Jefferson consistency, which isn't saying a lot because he's a Minnesota Viking. Sorry, I had to. I'm a Bears fan. I'm legally obligated to talk shit about Vikings players because bear down. But yeah, that's a good crew to have, and if you just gotta roll with what you got sometimes, and you gotta, like I said, offset the potential bad matchup with the potential good matchup. Offset it with potential bad matchup with upside. This guy. If you've got a wide receiver that's in a 3-team tandem, for instance, Godwin, Evans, and Antonio Brown. If one of them is injured, both of them have more upside this week than normal. So you want to lean towards the stuff like that. The upside of Brown this week was the fact that Gronk was out again, and there's no Gio Bernard. So look for the upside there and just try and make smart decisions. Ouch, that hurts. I like the Minnesota offense. Oh, I get it. I've got a good friend of mine who's a Vikings fan. So, and we compete against them every year, and it's just like I have to talk trash. It's like Packers. I love Aaron Rodgers, but I'm going to talk shit about cheeseheads regardless because it's in the code. You've got to when you're a Bears fan. It's just what we do. So yeah. And I had Stafford and he had Brady, so that's what happened. I get it. But then what's going to happen is you're going to turn around and you're going to have another great Stafford week. I mean, at Stafford, Higbee stack was as good as the Josh Allen and Dawson Knox stack 2 weeks ago. You just got to play the variance and see what happens. Let's see. Where did I get on my list? Yes, I got the Kadarius Toney. Receivers, let's see, top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Kadarius Toney was 8. Chase Claypool was 9. Cortland Sutton was 10. Claypool has great upside now because Juju Smith-Schuster is hurt. And I don't know what they're going to do with Deontay. Cortland Sutton Cortland Sutton's going to be a variable because of we don't know who's going to be the quarterback on that team from week to week with injuries. So look out for that. Manuel Sanders comes at 11, and he is a thing for sure. I don't like it. I didn't think you got the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl or not after last night. I do not. I came into this season not thinking they were going to Super Bowl. They have done what they did is great. They may get back there next year, but I don't see it this year. They have a case of what I call too much talent, too much good press, too much good around them. They've got no adversity. Adversity is the right word. They have no adversity stopping them or slowing them down right now. And I think every team needs to have adversity. Well, there was the injury to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but still they've got like 50 receivers that they can throw the ball to. And I think that doesn't give them any clear-cut go-tos. There's nobody to be dominant. Like Tyreek Hill and Kelsey should be the top 10 every week. And Tyreek Hill wasn't. Kansas City didn't have anybody in the top 10 this week. And that's why they lost. At this point, I have no idea. But I'm going to say it's going to be hard to tell me the Bills don't win this year. If you look at what they've got and how they're playing and the fact that they have so many pieces and so many options, and it's all clicking for them, the Bills are my team right now. And I hate to even say that, but Josh Allen kind of deserves it because he's done everything he's supposed to be doing. We're 37 minutes in, and I covered a lot. We talked a lot. I want to say thank you again. I appreciate you being here and being on the feed. My battery's going to die soon. So I will see you again tomorrow. So long, and thanks for all the fish.